Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Manny Talks Shooting is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns. Did you know that Phil the Groundhog isn't the only thing Puxatawny, Pennsylvania is famous for? That's right, D2 Custom Guns, the home of Dan Heitzenreiter and one of the best, fabulous 2011 builders in the country. So make sure you guys go check him out, D2 Custom, anywhere you can see him on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, go check him out. If you see myself, Patches Reader, anyone with the D2 Custom Guns, make sure you go check him out, and you will thank me later. Now, let's get on to the show. This episode of Manny Talks Shooting is brought to you by jv-training.com. Head over there and check out their dry fire inserts and take your game to the next level. Let's get on to the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast proudly presented by D2 Custom Guns. We always appreciate Dan's support and his awesome blasters, so go check him out, d2customguns.com, and go check out his offerings. But without further ado, we're going to talk to a man I've been, like my Instagram DMs have been blown up about since, Carry Optics Nationals. You should get this guy on. You should get this guy on. Well, I finally did it. We connected finally on the DMs, and we made it happen. So we're sitting down with Mr. Nathan Barnes. How you doing, Nathan?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. This is the first time we're actually talking, so it's kind of interesting. So I get to learn all about you while we're sitting down on the podcast. So that's awesome. So for me and everybody else, who are you, and how did you get into shooting?
So I'm just basically a regular, normal dude. I got into shooting at a younger age, doing some hunting with my dad. But as far as real shooting, what I would say we do, practical style stuff, my dad got me a handgun when I turned 18, and I would shoot it once a year, maybe twice a year. And then kind of started seeing stuff pop up. I was always kind of online and watching, YouTube videos and stuff like that. Kind of took a liking to it, but just didn't have the time or the money or anything like that. And then, so about a year and a half ago, I just went full bore. Started kind of training a little bit up before that, on my own, doing some stuff. And then, but didn't really know what I was doing. And then just showed up to a match, shot a match, really liked it. Didn't shoot another match for maybe 2 months. It was in the middle of winter, January, February, something like that. So it's snowing, pouring down rain. And then went to my second match and just started, going consistently after that. And then kind of more training.
Very nice. Very nice. So you said you went hunting with your dad as a kid. I'm not very, what's the game that's normally hunted out there in the Pacific Northwest?
Just pretty much elk and deer is all we ever hunted for. Coyotes and stuff like that, but mostly just elk and deer.
Okay. How many times were you able to collect a deer or an elk?
I've got a few deer, no elk. No elk yet.
Are those tags pretty hard to gather where you're from?
In Washington, where I'm at, it's pretty easy. You can just kind of buy a tag over the counter, depending on what season you want to hunt or whatever, stuff like that. You got to do hunter safety and stuff like that when you're underage. But
I got delivered dessert. It's a wonderful podcast, y'all.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm not super big into hunting, but from my family, my stepdad, he owns property out in Idaho. And for him, he's a non-resident. So getting an elk tag is extremely expensive and difficult.
Right.
But he was lucky. He got one, I think, on my birthday. I think it was my birthday. He actually took a new big elk. So that was pretty cool. And he's, one of those backpack in hunters who climbing up these into these valleys and just hunting. And I'm like, no, I'm too fat for this shit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that you can just, you can just pay for an elk tag and call it a day.
Yeah.
Did you now, where you're at, when you were hunting as a youth, did you have a tree stand, a blind, or were you, hiking?
No, yeah. So my dad and I mainly would just hike and hunt public land. Um, so we had a few different spots we'd hunt for elk, a few different spots we'd hunt for deer. Um, but yeah, mostly just hiking out. And then, if you have scouted and the elk or deer are going to kind of be in a certain area at a certain time, you'll hike out to it and just kind of wait and see if they come out.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. So, which is nice. So, you got your dad got you a firearm, a pistol when you were 18. What was that, a Glock or something else?
320. Yeah.
Okay. So, was this the original 320 or was this like an X5 or a Legion?
No, it was actually a subcompact. So it was like the worst 320 probably you could get. And I had shot that a couple times. I'm like, okay, well, this is just not working for me. But thankfully, the cool thing about the 320 is like you can just buy all the gadgets. So I think I got a bigger grip module and all that stuff like that.
Gotcha. Well, you're definitely still not shooting that SIG anymore, are you?
No, definitely not. No, I don't. I've never even shot it at a match or anything like that. Any serious training.
Yeah, because looking at your social media, you do take nice trophy pictures with your guns. So they are pretty impressive. So
yeah, the CZ's a pretty gun, so I got to throw it up with a picture.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is pretty cool, and the trophies are just cool. Like, whoever's doing most of these trophies, they're pretty banging. So I can't complain.
Yeah, for sure.
But so you said you kind of got into it yourself, watching videos. Were you watching like T-Rex arms or? Okay.
Yeah, so I'd watch a little bit of T-Rex stuff, a little bit of like Grand Thumb stuff, and then every once in a while you'd see like somebody pop up with some match footage, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I would say like my first kind of intro to anything practical would be like I had shot some of the T-Rex arms, like little courses of fire they have, where you set up the targets. It's basically like you set up the targets like a classifier, and you have like multiple positions, or it's like 10 strings or whatever it is. But that was kind of like my intro to doing something other than just like, yeah, go put up a target, like a steel plate, and just bang at it.
Right. So, before you jumped into like competitive shooting, you watch these videos from these big YouTubers. Did you take like a tactical class before, or just all knowledge from?
Yeah, just internet really. I mean, I raced motocross before getting into shooting, so I had some skill building practice and kind of understood the concepts they were talking about. So most of the stuff, is out online for free if you can find it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty cool. So when you said you shot your first match and you didn't go back for about another 2 months, all said and done, how did you feel your first match went? Were you like, was it way over here, or did you feel like, okay, I can hang a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great.
Your first performance is never great.
Yeah,
I mean, there are some studs though who come out of nowhere though.
For sure. I mean, I felt pretty good about it. Like, I could do the gun handling, I could hit all the targets. Like, I was doing some shooting on the move. Like, I mean, I have a video of my very first stage ever, and it's like I went 1 for 1 on a plate rack. Like, it wasn't terrible, it wasn't bad. But I mean, looking back now, you're like, oh, that's painful to watch.
Oh yeah, no, those videos have been burned. Like, yeah. Those have been deleted from all faces of the internet. So that's good. So by the time you got classified, where did you end up landing at first?
I think originally I was B, and then I was B for a good while. I would say I was way overperforming the classification in matches. I just was like not putting it together in classifiers. And I think that kind of came to, I think the reasoning was that just my like raw gun handling speed wasn't that high, and I was shooting very conservative, like shooting points basically, and that just doesn't really, cross over into classifiers. So it's not like they were bad, they just weren't a true reflection of like match skill.
Right. Yeah, and you're much more athletic and be able to shoot on the move in a match than
Right.
a bang and cling classifier or small movements,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
We're not very fortunate. At least we're at the clubs I shoot. You might shoot a classifier match once a year, and you might shoot a class. Maybe once in a while you'll shoot a classifier, but it's usually the new ones that they're still testing out, so you don't really get a score. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I would prefer it that way. I would prefer just having another like good solid stage. Um, there's so many classifiers that are just like, 3 paper and a steel, or 4 steel, 5 steel, and a couple papers. Like that, I don't really get much out of that other than hey, I got whatever score on whatever classifier.
right. Yeah. So you stayed at B for a little bit, purely because classifiers kind of suck. But so you're performing at these matches, now where you shoot locally in Vancouver, does Siler show up like pretty much all the time, or is it a very rare occasion where he shows up?
No, so Christian's a few hours north of me, and Juanzik as well. And I know Christian doesn't. I talked to him a bit. I know he doesn't shoot anything local. Like he doesn't shoot matches at all.
He just shoots
Juanzik,
okay, go ahead, keep going.
yeah. So I was laughing actually looking at his matches between last year's national and this year's national. I think he only shot 6 matches, and they were like either an area match or a national match or something along those lines.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's insane. You think about it, but he puts a
I
lot of
mean,
rounds downrange in practice, though.
yeah, I think he does quite a bit of training leading up. I'm not sure how much shooting he's doing during the off season, but I know he does shoot a ton leading up to all the matches he's going to. I think he's probably at the point where he can just strap the belt on, do 20 minutes of dry fire, and like maintain. I don't think he needs to necessarily go to the range all winter, especially with how our winters are. I also know I've talked to him a bit about the ranges up there, and they are not the best for training. So
yeah, I could see that, especially when it's dreary and crappy out. Like you probably have shot so many matches in the rain.
yeah. I mean, I feel like almost more matches in bad weather than good weather.
Right. So you were purely prepared to shoot nationals bagged.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring it on.
So speaking of that, since you see it's very common to see that. Well, let me rephrase this. How often do you see bag targets at a local match, just because of where you're at?
4 to 6 months out of the year, probably. I mean, I've only been shooting for a year and a half, so it's not like I have tons of time experiencing this. But I would say, yeah, probably 6 months of the year was like a high chance we're going to be shooting bag targets.
Right. So, everyone talks, mentally, right? Being prepared for all these things, and no one ever really likes to shot call in the rain. But I guess you're used to it all the for pretty much half the season. So, do you feel you have an advantage when you shoot a bag target?
I don't know if things change at all for me. I think my approach and like the principles I go by, I don't think hardly anything changes. USPSA target, bag target, IPSC target, steel plate. I think it's all kind of the principles stay the same.
Oh yeah, I know. I've heard Steve Anderson talk about this a couple times about JBL. Loves to practice in the rain because he shoots really good in the rain.
Yeah,
and I'm like, when I think about rain, I think about my gun and moisture and all the lube I need to put on it to make sure that it doesn't rust.
Yeah. Well, at nationals, I didn't shoot a single stage in the rain. It didn't rain a lot this year, but I finished my last stage on the day it did rain on us, just before the downpour, basically.
So Saturday morning you were shooting that, right?
Yeah, the end of Saturday morning. So basically right before the afternoon squad started. And I finished my stage, kind of took some of my gear off. It started to downpour. And during the downpour, Jay Beal was shooting, it was like stage 13 or something, all alphas, like crushing time, pouring down rain. And I put all my gear in the car, walk back over there, and everyone, they're sitting there waiting for the rain delay to end. Everyone's talking about Jay's perfect run on that stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there. I didn't shoot the match, but I was there. I was actually talking during the rain delay. I was actually talking to Eric. My buddy and I, the buddy who rode with me, had no idea who he's absolutely talking to. He's just because Eric comes over with like 10 bottles of Pro Grip from the GX booth, and he's like putting them in his bag. He's like, you must go through a lot of that. He's like, I can't get this where I'm from. So I tell my buddy, like, you know who that is, right? After Eric like walked away or started talking to somebody else, he's like, that's Eric Graffel, or Groffel, however he says his last name. But he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, you're talking about like the world champion of champions here, like.
He's like, oh, pretty good stuff, huh?
Well, and it was
just
more,
making small talk. He's just making small talk.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to Eric. Well, I knew who he was, but I was like, so how was the flight? Because he came from like Extreme Euro like that week, and then went to Nationals. So he was home for a day between matches, and I'm like, your wife must love you, and you get paid a lot of money to just go not be home. But that was a cool experience because then we watched them shoot the prone stage after the rain delay, which kind of sucks because the platform's wet.
Soaked, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what'd you think of that stage?
I didn't mind the prone stage. It's with stuff like that. You got the paddle start position. You got the prone position. Basically, you start with the paddle, and then you got to lay down and shoot the end prone. And then the stage before that too, with the swinging bridge. Like for me, that stuff's just kind of a gimmick. Like it's just meant to get people worked up. I don't think it really changes any of the shooting. I maybe go a little conservative on stuff like that just because it's like this is not the stage to try and make something happen. Just shoot your points. And then on the prone stage, it was like, this is definitely a stage you could get DQ'd on. So like, make sure I don't flag myself. No finger in the trigger or anything like that.
Yeah, especially on that bridge. Like there was no real room there was no separation between really from the first guy and the 20th guy. Like there was pretty much one. I watched enough shooters shoot that stage, and it was pretty much there was one or two plans, right? Depending on how you wanted to take the sequence coming back to the left.
Right, shooting the bobber at the end there.
Yeah, that was pretty much the only difference I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really intimidating to watch Lane Grease shoot that. Lane's all jacked up. And do you know who Lane Grease is?
I don't know him personally, but I know who he is.
Yes. Oh, okay, yeah, that big old burly guy.
Big guy.
Yeah, but that's cool. So, also looking at your social media, you said you've been doing this a year and a half. So, and you said you didn't start with the SIG. So, what gun did you start competing with then?
I was shooting a Glock 17 out of a Safari Land for.
That makes sense from coming
probably
from
my
T-Rex.
First few matches was shooting that, and then I just got like typical double alpha belt, pouches, holster. Still shooting the Glock 17 though.
Mm-hmm.
Shot that for a bit, yeah.
Right. So that's pretty cool. And then what made you switch to the Shadow 2?
I just saw everyone else pretty much shooting it. I felt like there were certain things that the Glock, was a bit harder to do. Like it was just harder to do certain things with the Glock. Not that it was holding me back by any means. It was definitely just skill issue. But I saw everyone shooting it. And I was like, I like the way it looks, and looking cool that's all of it. So, I had a few different things I told myself, like milestones that I wanted to hit. And I kind of hit those. And so I was like, well, new gun time.
Mm-hmm. Well, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm kind of like that too. I like new guns. But, so
another part of that actually was my girlfriend started shooting matches with me, and she was shooting a P365. Concealed and all that. because that was the gun she owned. That was her carry gun, and like that's what she was going to shoot. So I was like, well, I'm going to get a new gun, and you can start shooting this, and this will be much nicer for you. You'll enjoy shooting a lot more. Like things will be less difficult.
Yes, definitely way less difficult with the bigger gun.
Yeah.
But that means just your ammo budget went like through the roof because then you're paying for her ammo too.
Yeah, but I mean, totally worth it.
Oh
We
yeah,
do everything. Like we shoot any match that she can go to, she goes to. Like we've shot probably almost every match that I've shot, she's been at pretty much. She couldn't make it at nationals. She couldn't make it to Idaho State. There's a couple things she's missed, but even like my very first match, she was there just hanging out. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. I mean, it's always nice to be able to shoot with your significant other, or at least go to the range and share time together. Even though like I'm pretty bad about like socializing with my wife when she goes and she's not shooting, because I'm like I'm doing my processes right. Yeah, I'm getting my stuff around. I know I've got to keep my gear going right. Got to load the mags. Got to get the cameras going. Like I'm one of the bougie bitches who's got like the sky cam in the air and the hat cam and the. I'm not the guy with a 360 camera who's got like, what's the best spot to put this, guys? I'm like,
Then you got, all the shooting stuff too.
Yep. You got to think about your plan and yeah. So I'm getting better about it now that she's kind of my wife is actually starting to shoot with me. It's nice because then I'm like, well, think about this plan. Then I'm also thinking, I'm like, I'm way like, if I'm here, she's way down here. I can't be talking like this level with her. I gotta come down to this level and think about plans too, which is nice because then I think about how I was when I started. Right, I didn't have that person who taught me, who came back down to my level and talked to me at my skill level. So it's kind of cool that way. I mean, I'm still growing and learning in the sport too, but I've got enough. I've been around the block long enough to know that I'm not crazy on some of my plans.
For sure.
But yeah, so I see from looking at your videos, when did you start shooting occluded?
I don't know. Quite a while. That's been I don't know. It's been a long time ago.
So are you 100% occluded, 95% occluded?
I would say probably 90%, 95%. And I don't necessarily do it so much for target focus. I just really like the way the dot looks when it's occluded. I have a bit of a tism going with my eyes. And then, the SROs have the double dot issues and whatnot, but I just really like how crisp and like refined I can get the dot. And then I can also dial it down quite a bit when it's bright and sunny out. So it's still like a really nice pinpoint, small dot. That's just my preference.
Yeah. That is, excuse me. Yeah, that is a thing I like because I've been occluding in practice and in dry fire. I haven't done it in a match yet just because, I don't know, I don't know if I'm too chicken shit to do it yet in a local or...
I don't think it changes anything. I think you should totally go for it.
I probably should. I mean, our last match of the year is coming up, so I should probably do it and stop being a wuss.
Yeah.
But, it's not very uncommon to see 35, 40-yard, open paper, like, in a match locally here. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to get sucked in on the dot and then not see the target. So I'm just like, I'll just leave this off.
I'm almost the opposite. It's like if there's on stuff like that, I don't worry about it. Like I know I'll just pick the spot and like, I'm going to see the target. There's like certain spots where I'm like, oh, I'm definitely putting occlusion on because like, I don't want the sun to mess me up or like, this weird target presentation or whatever, not that I think that my eyes won't target focus, but it's just like, if by chance they stare at the dot, like this is really risky spot for it to happen.
Very much so. Very much so. But, yeah, so I'll probably do it in a match, a USPSA match. I've done it in a Steel Challenge match purely because I don't care about Steel Challenge, so I was just like, I'll just leave it on, and I didn't feel like taking it off. So that was good to see.
I think Mason Lane said he's been doing it like for 2 years straight now or something. Like he hasn't shot a gun hardly at all without it.
Right, that makes sense.
So
Now,
and he's pretty all right. He's a pretty good shooter.
yeah, I think he's okay. He's okay enough. Two-time national champion. Yeah. Okay enough.
Yeah.
Now, do you prefer the blue tape or the black tape?
The blue tape was kind of like a meme. Like I had masking tape in my truck from hanging targets at the indoor, and I was like, yeah, that'll work. And then I just think it looks like cheap and cheesy. And then I've got, like a nice competition gun, nice dot and stuff, nice gear. So I just kind of throw the blue tape on there as a joke.
Gotcha. Makes pretty cool sense. So so I see you're running the lockjaws. Did you try the Palmswell brass ones first, or did you go straight to the lockjaws?
No, so I Randall Towles, actually, I messaged him, this has been a long time ago, about like, hey man, what's your preference on grips? I got these Shadow 2s, I shot it a little bit with the stock grips and they sucked. They're like just terribly slick. So I messaged him. I was like, hey man, what's your preference on these? Do you have a set you really like? And he's like, yeah, these are my favorite. I got a bunch. These are my favorite. I'll just send them to you. You can try whatever you want. It's like the only thing is just don't sell them if you don't like them. So he actually sent me like 6 pairs of grips or 3 or 4 pairs of grips or something. And I was like, okay, yeah, thanks. That's super cool. So I was able to try like a few different pairs of lock grips. I really liked the Palmswells. And at the time they didn't have the lockjaws. They hadn't come out yet. So I was running the aggressive G10 ones for a while, but those just didn't have as much bite. And then when the lockjaws came out, I was like, yeah, I think I want those. So I ordered a pair, and then as soon as I got those, I was like, I think at that time I only had one gun, only one Shadow 2. But I really liked them, and then a little while later I got another pair for the other gun.
Gotcha. Now, did you feel that they were just enough aggressive, or were they a little on the extra aggressive side?
They're definitely really sharp. I never felt like they were too aggressive. They were definitely like chewing my hands up. And even now, still, like if I do 800 or 1,000 rounds in a day, like my hands will be pretty chewed up. But I love them. Like any gun I touch that's not that aggressive, I'm like, I don't really like this.
Yeah, you're one of those weird people. Well, I wouldn't say weird, but on the extremes of the lockjaws are like, I don't mind. I'm like, right before they came out, my buddy was testing them locally, and he was like, oh, you can feel my gun. I'm like, sure. I'm like, yeah, I'm bleeding. I picked it up off the safe table, and I'm bleeding. Like, yeah. All I said is to him was like, take one file pass on this, and I'd love it. Just so I'm not like, so I can pick it up and be gripped back on it, but not be like, oh, I'm bleeding all over your gun now.
That's how most people feel about it. I think it's great. They do wear in a little bit over time, so they're not quite as sharp as like a brand new set. Neither of mine are, but I mean, I like it. Anytime I shoot a different gun, and I don't feel like I have that same level of grip, it just doesn't feel good at all. And what typically happens is I don't grip my gun that hard, my Shadow 2s, but I'll typically just start over gripping whatever I'm shooting to try and like get that level of connection. Not that I'm getting any more, like I'm not going to connect to the gun any better, but I just don't feel like I have the attachment to the gun like I do with those.
Yeah, they definitely put you in one with your gun. That's for sure. It's biting you back in a good way.
What do you have on your gun, your open gun?
So both my open guns have Chile grips, and they're the extra aggressive Chiles. And I will say that one's grippier than the other purely because one has been Cerakoted. Yeah. And that one's a little on the wimpy side, but the one that's PVD'd slash DLA, diamond like alloyed, is much grippier. But they're the same grips. I mean, and to put the Cerakote on, you got to sandblast it down and then put the coating on it, so you're losing the grippiness. But I don't feel like I don't put grip chalk on either. Like with the new grip, I don't
Okay.
have to put grip chalk on. I have a rosin bag, like a bowling bag, and I just pat that on. Like if I'm super sweaty in the hands, I'll rub that down, and then my hands are dry. So, and that's why I don't feel like I need grip chalk. And
Yeah.
I like not wiping. I'll wear black shorts or pants all the time at the range, and I'm like, I don't want my people to think I just touch my butt all the time, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not like Panda who slaps asses and just to leave a white handprint of Saruman on their butt.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
I noticed a similar thing with the lockjaws. I have one pair that's coated and one that's raw, and the coated pair is definitely like from brand new they were a little less aggressive, and then as they worn in they're definitely less aggressive.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I still use chalk on everything all day.
yeah. And
All day, dry
I'm not a
fire,
super.
live fire.
Yeah, I'm not a super. I don't perspire in my hands very much. Like, it takes a hot
Yeah.
minute. Like for my hand, like I could be wearing like latex gloves or nitrile gloves, like or something at work, and my hands will start like sweating because they can't breathe. But like if I'm out and about and like at the range or something, like they just don't get that sweaty. But yeah. So that's kind of cool. Did you go for the stormtrooper kind of look on the gun, or do you just like the white grips, or what?
Um, I got I guess I got the aluminum and the black at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and I put the black on black, and they were slightly off. Like so, I don't know. It drives me nuts
Yep.
when it's like two different blacks and one almost looks purple compared to the other one. Like my eyes do. I don't know. My eyes see like one of the blacks is more purple toned, and that
Mm-hmm.
drives me nuts. So I was like, well, I'll throw the black ones on the gray shadow and put the silver ones on the black one, and then it looked good. And I'm like, all right, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, yeah. In my line of work, I look at colorants of plastic all day. So yeah, I can definitely be like, yeah. My wife's like, oh, that's green. I'm like, yeah. Or it's like, that's gray. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of gray. Like, if we're gonna be technical, that gray's a little more blue than that one. And she's like,
Yeah.
shut up. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, no, I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
But it's always fun. Or like someone's like, oh, look at that OD green. No, that's olive drab. That is not up. That is not OD green. That's foliage green or army green. Like,
Yeah. No, that's got too much brown in it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so well, and just like when someone like spray paints a target and it's not like fully like painted well, so you can kind of see like the brown sticking back throughout. I'm like, come on, you're killing me, Smalls. Or it's weird though, depending on what kind of like can of paint or how they roll down the paint. They look shiny or matter like on the targets, and they're right next to each other with hardcover. I'm like,
Yeah.
rage quit. No, not really rage quit, but I tell the difference. I freak out about that shit. But yeah, so thank you for checking out another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our partners when you are available. We have always, as the title sponsor, G2 Custom Guns. We've got Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, 2 Alpha Apparel, Range Panda, Laugh and Load, Hunters HD Gold, and Southern Bobby Q. Now, thank you. Let's get on with this episode. Good job in making it to the middle part of the episode of Manny Talks Shooting. Congratulations, you've met it. We're still doing a giveaway with jv-training.com. So you have a chance to win yourself a jv-training.com insert to add 9 or more ounces to your dry fire setup with the good quality products that jv-training.com is known for. So here's the question. When was the last time there was a missed week on Manny Talks Shooting? So you need to let me know which episode that was and send it in an email at manny@mannytalkshooting.com, and I will get back to you. I'll give you that code and be the first one. You got to be the number one. It's all right. Good luck. You've been doing some, I see you, do you like to go hiking in free time too?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I do quite a bit of hiking. We try and take a trip or two every year. Last year we went out in Idaho for like 5 days, I think, with her family. That was really fun. Like deep backcountry. And then more recently, her and I went out backpacking for 6 days.
Nice. Yeah. I enjoyed backpacking, but remember, every ounce turns into a pound on your back. So that's definitely
Yeah, I think my bag was like 65 pounds when we started.
Yeah, was it with water, I'm assuming?
Yeah, with a bit of water.
Yeah. Now, did you have to fill up off a creek while you're out there too?
Yeah, the lakes. We were just pumping water out of the lakes.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've gone hiking like that, but it's definitely rewarding to see some really cool scenery and be not surrounded by people.
Yeah, yeah. I like just the no phone, the out there alone. All those things. It's definitely a nice disconnect.
Right. So when you go out there, do you take like a amateur radio or like a sat phone?
Yeah, we have like one of those GPS, emergency GPSs that you can send out a signal and you can send like, simple text messages and stuff from.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, that was always one of the concerns when my stepfather would go out, hunting. He'd go for a whole month in September. He'd be gone. Be like, all right, don't die out in that valley. So
Right, right.
because by the time you get a signal out, or you couldn't, and you're dead, the wolves have gotten you.
Yeah, yeah, you're gone.
Yep. So, was your first major match this season? Was that at Winnemucca Area 1?
Yeah, yeah. So last year I shot our Columbia Cascade section match, and then the Southern Oregon Open match, another sectional. So those were kind of my first two majors, but smaller level. And then yeah, my first major was Area 1.
Gotcha. So, did you take much of an off season before Area 1, or did you kind of just push through the winter?
No, I didn't like. I have yet to take time away from shooting really. A little bit here and there, but like small breaks, like a week or two at a time when I was gone doing something else, or skiing during the winter, snowboarding, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't taken any time off basically since I started.
Gotcha. I follow the Mason Lane approach. I do it when I feel like it, kind of thing. With like in the winter, I'm just like, oh, I feel like touching
Yeah,
my gun and fucking around with it today. I think I'll dry fire.
yeah, that's kind of my approach after a major. It's like, okay, I'm just exhausted. When I finally feel like, okay, I want to put the belt on and do some dry fire, then I'll do it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I I enjoy the breaks. I enjoy not feeling the absolute pressure to like, oh, it's my schedule. I got to dry fire today for 20 minutes, or I got to drive. Because then I'm like, sometimes I'm just phoning it in, right? And you
Right.
never. I think when you start phoning it in, you're just like you're not getting good quality.
No, and with dry fire too, you need to be really like you need to be turned on. You need
Mm-hmm.
to be really paying attention, or it's so easy to just go through the motions and everything kind of falls apart.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. So, Area 1 at Winnemucca, right? I'm saying that right, Winnemucca? Wherever Gianni's at, right? Gianni
Yeah,
Land.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, so what'd you think of that range? Because that was the first match ever, like, major match held at that range.
For me, it was a long drive to get there. It was longer than I would have liked. If they were going to have it this year again there, I would
Mm-hmm.
have flown, I think. Because I think it was like 9 hours for me to drive there and driving alone.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the range goes, the facility's pretty nice. Like half of the bays had this big like river rock that I didn't really enjoy. Like it was not very, very fun. And then half the bays had like more of a silty kind of gravelly dirt, and that was good.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Now, so when you're talking River Rock, are you talking bigger or smaller than Cardinal Death Gravel?
Bigger,
Ooh.
yeah, like actual, baseball size rocks.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's no bueno.
it kind of got the same thing as Cardinal gets, where they get like the potholes, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
big rock potholes now. And then it's just loose and deep.
Mm-hmm.
But the range was nice. It was a good stages, well ran. I enjoyed it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it was definitely it was cool to see that match go on. I didn't get to go, but from all the videos I saw, it looked pretty cool. Um, so you came away with first master. Did you expect it? Was it a shock? What? Go ahead. I'll let you start with that, and then I have a follow up. So go ahead.
I would say I knew kind of how good I am. Like I knew I had the skills and the abilities to do well. I didn't know how good the other guys were. So I'd never shot against really anybody at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
So shooting against like Lockwood and Jacob and Hunter was in my squad, which was really cool. He was really fun to shoot with, Constantine.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never shot against anyone like that level, so I didn't know how good they were. Like I felt confident in how good I was, but I didn't know where I would stack up against them. So I wouldn't say like I went in with much of an expectation of anything. Just like go there, shoot my best, focus on me, do my thing. Being in a squad with Hunter, I could kind of see where he was doing things, see what I was doing. And then with live scoring, obviously you can kind of see how you're stacking up throughout the day.
Right. So speaking of live scoring, did you check scores? Did you watch scores while you were shooting, or did you wait till the end of the day?
No, I pretty much always check scores. I don't put any emotion into it. Like it doesn't really change anything. Like I'm just kind of doing my program, but I pretty much always check scores.
Right. So here's the cool thing, right? So I'm looking at the hits, right? So you had the same amount of alphas as Jacob. You had 2 more Charlies than Jacob. 1 more Delta. Couple more mics. What was it? 4 more mics, but your hits were good. I mean, for the most part, I mean, you can't complain about that. And you shot your classification against one of the fastest guys in the sport.
Right.
Especially for your first major of 2024.
Yeah, definitely. It was good. I had fun. It was a good match. Like I said, Hunter is super fun to hang out with, shoot with. He's a cool dude. We had a really good squad. And the stages there were great. I thought they were good, test of different things. There was a good bit of mix. I liked it.
Yeah, that's good. And then was it pretty much, I can't remember, it was May sometime, but then did you go straight, was it Optics was pretty much your next major, or?
Yeah, so that match was actually like right on my birthday. I think actually my second, what was it? I shot, I want to say Friday, Saturday schedule. And then Sunday was my birthday. So I just drove home after finishing the match. But then I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I shot the Inland Empire sectional.
Oh, okay.
And that's pretty close to me. And Christian was there. So I got to shoot with Christian. That was a good match. And then the next weekend, I believe, was Carry Optics Nationals. So it was a good match right before Nationals to shoot against some good guys. Steiner was there, some other people that were pretty good shooters.
Yeah, that chunky panda guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a lovable round panda man.
No, he's great. I love him.
Yeah, I sent him far too many messages that get ignored, so it's like I'll text him and then I love you, Eric, but bro, faster on the replies. It's all good though. No, anywho, no. So speaking of Panda, he did want to know, what is it like training with the Panda?
It was a great time. Yeah, I got to shoot with him right before Idaho State, and I couldn't have had the performance that I had there without his training.
So why do you say that?
I'm mostly joking, but
okay. I just got to dig it into him.
Yeah, just the opportunity to shoot right before the match. We did some really good good practice, mostly like kind of mock stages, situational stuff. But I think we started out like one of our mock stages. First shots of the day was like, I don't know, 25-yard plate, unloaded start. So it was good. It was good training.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I'm just checking out that Idaho. Let me double check you up. The Hawk Tech Arms Idaho State Sectional Championship. It was a pretty close race in their carry optics for you. You, Wansik, and Sam, all fighting for it. You were faster than Wansik, so.
Yep. That was a good match. I shot pretty well. I had a couple stages I'd made some mistakes on, but it was a good match. I had fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nice to hang out a little bit, talk to Fonzik, and the whole point I basically went there was because it was a close match. That's a major with national level talent, so it's like I can't miss that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want you want to be able to test yourself against good guy national competitors, right?
Yep.
Like locally, I'll speak for myself locally. There's no big top dogs, right? Like
Yeah.
we finally have 3 grandmasters again in our state in carry optics.
Yeah.
It's all we had. And then we got 1 limited grandmaster from like the 90s. But it's hard because there's not always the best talent, so you're always fighting in your own little fish pond. And I
Definitely.
and I bet you have that a little bit where you're at in the Pacific Northwest, right? So
Yeah. We don't have any grandmaster pistol shooters in my section.
so
So,
there's PCC guys, right?
well, there's rifle guys. Yeah, we actually have Jack Lapham, who's a PCC GM. He's on the Super Squad again this year.
Oh
He's a
yeah,
good
Cobra Jack.
shooter, Cobra Jack. So pretty much, I just try and chase him down and beat him. That's pretty much what I got to do.
Do you tell him that he's shooting a rifle in a pistol sport?
I do, and then I love to get him worked up. We have a monthly match that doesn't allow rifles, and occasionally he'll come shoot a pistol. Um, and sometimes he likes to step out of line, so I got to beat him back down when he shows up to shoot a pistol.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
So is it because of the range rules? Is it the berms? Why don't they allow rifles?
I'm not sure what the rules are. It's kind of like in a rock pit thing.
Mm,
Um, it's a range rule, but I couldn't see why it would be unsafe to shoot one there or anything like that.
gotcha. I guess that makes sense then. Range rules being range rules. Lame. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, you're good.
Oh, okay. So with all these, with all these masterclass wins, how close are you to getting that GM bump?
I don't think I'm all that close.
Yeah.
I think I was sitting around like 90%. Actually, last weekend I went with my girlfriend down to Bend, and we shot a classifier match there. Um, and I think that I actually went down a bit because there was, I think, 2 or 3 24 series, and those are pretty brutal.
Oh, okay. Speaking of that, so I just shot. For the listeners, you'll listen to this on Monday after. So we're recording this on Tuesday. So tomorrow I'll bump to A class and open division,
Oh,
and I shot.
congrats.
Yeah, and it was nice because like I shot all these classifiers. I shot Cracker Jack. No, not Cracker Jack. This is some stupid one where it's an open paper, like a mid hardcover, like and then a chest hardcover, and then like a head box. And you got to shoot this thing blazing fast, like 0904. Threw a mic into the hardcover. It's like fucking ridiculous. Like the time was great, just with the one mic. I was like, what the fuck? And it's like a 40%. I'm like, well, there's no points on the stage, so the mic kills you as it is with the minus 15. But everything else,
Yeah.
like all the other ones were in like where they were about 80%. So I'm like, okay, I'm half the way to master now, which is impressive too for
Yeah.
me. But I shot Can You Strong Hand, Weak Hand. And have you shot this one yet? Okay, and the targets are literally 2 yards from the box. There is
Actually,
no sight needed.
so that's 4 targets. You're
Mhm.
in one shooting box. Is it 2 partials in the middle and opens on the outside?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I shot that one a couple weeks ago, but they set it up incorrectly. The targets were too spaced out or too far away or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, and so you just see kind of optic housing, and you go whack whack whack. You get them
Yeah,
jailbait splits on it because you don't need to see any sights. I mean, if you're seeing sights,
yeah,
you're obviously shooting it too slow. So I got on one target was 5 Alpha, 1 Charlie, and a no shoot. This thing was literally like on the perf in the no shoot. Literally was right in the no shoot, but it was like it hit the perf enough, so I got my Alpha too because it broke the other one. So I'm like, yes. Didn't get a mic and a no shoot, so it's still like it would have been like a masterclass run, but with the mic, it dropped it down to like a high B. And I'm like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Like,
I did the just barely breaking the perf on the no shoot. Like you
mhm.
got to card it because it's so close. Or it would have been 100% on that little 23 one, which that one was set low, so it's not like I had a great run. But the 23 classifier with the little left and right movement and the shooting in the middle.
Oh yeah, the Tim Herron short course.
Yeah,
I say they need to make one. They need to back that up about 10 yards and call it the Nils Jonasson.
Yeah, it's way too close shooting. The targets are like 4 yards.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
I understood like the putting it into Handgun Nationals last year. I can understand that as a stage, as like, oh, we need a double bay here, so we're gonna put this stage that the good guys, there's gonna be no real drop in the scores. It's just gonna be it's gonna be more points to the match.
Yeah,
but I think honestly, the Tim Herron short course would be better if it was 3 per, because it messes up the flow in the middle a little bit if it's 3 per.
Yeah, it's like the 3 box one that's 3 per.
Yeah, so
24.
That one I want to shoot that one. I honestly want to shoot that one because I don't think actually it's unrealistic.
I've shot it twice now. I just shot it. I shot it last weekend. So, I think there was 5 stages, and my percentages were like 79, 84, 85, 85, 86, or something like that. So consistent, but just consistently not high enough.
Yeah,
but that's also on I got an 84% on that field course one, the 24 series field course one.
The one that nobody sets up.
I just dropped the hammer too. Mm-hmm. Like I think I had like 4 Charlies, like full send, and it's like an 84%. I think recommended on Hit Factor Info, it's like 101 or something stupid. 97%. I don't know.
Damn, but it's definitely it's one to measure. You have to measure so much out on them. Just like, why is this a classifier?
I can't imagine why you would want to set it up. I mean, stuff like that is a much better test of skill, right? If they can set the high hit factors correctly, like that is gonna, give you a more accurate reading of a shooter's capabilities than a stand and shoot necessarily. But it's way too involved. There's no way you could ever replicate it twice and like make sure it's the same.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that one. But yeah, so yeah. And the worst part about classifier matches is you pretty much lose, depending on how many they run, you lose all your scores. So if you have some really good ones, you're like, well, I got to beat these. So
yeah.
Or they set up all the freaking stand and shoots.
Yeah. I don't know. The classification system, it's a fun game, but it's I don't really think about it too much. I don't.
Yeah, it's not the end all be all.
No.
At least it's nice to the guys who are fighting against their peers. Right, so it lets you duke it out against people that you should be duking it out against.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think at Nationals, right? You're all vying to win the match, but does everyone really have the chance to win the match? Not really, but at least they can play in their little pond of, well, I'm going to try to beat the guys who say that they're at least, 60 to 75% of the margin of shooters, right?
Right.
At least that's nice. Because if we all try to be like, oh, you win or you lose, you win the match or you don't, like, no one, we'd all rage quit because we're all type A and we're like, I can't win, so screw it.
Right. Well, I for a while was getting drugged down by my Area 1 performance, actually, because it was at 86%. But it's like 86% at Area 1 of Jacob. Like, I would rank that at much higher than, like, one classifier.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they're good. I would like to see a revolving door kind of on classifications. Like if you say you classify, like it was like your early 2000s or a late 90s GM and you can't do it anymore, or your level of participation changes, you should be able to drop yourself, like without requesting it. You should just start dropping after like a 2-year mark of like, yeah, you're hitting 60% of it, or you're hitting 70%, or bump back down to A or something, just because that's where their skill level's at, instead of getting them crushed and be like ruining the algorithm.
Yeah. I think it would have to be kind of based on, I guess, your classification or like your major match performance. Like if it truly is trending down, like you've gotten older or whatever, then I would be okay with like people dropping down. But I don't think those people would want to. Like I think that the guy who's a GM that can't shoot GM skill or who made GM and then, kind of dropped off, doesn't shoot hardly at all. Like, he doesn't want to now be an A-class guy.
Right. No, yeah, the ego gets hurt, but it's like you still have a better chance of performing in your class, right?
Yeah.
Well, and everyone does this for different reasons. Some people do it for the hobby. Some people actually do it because they're all uber competitive, and some people just do it for the the fun and the friendship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all do it for different reasons. It's usually to hang out with friends and destroy them and make fun of them by crushing their souls. But
talk crap with your buddies.
Talk lots of crap. And then be a good sport about it when shit goes wrong and you get the crap talked to you.
I just mainly do it for the post-match beers.
Post-match brewskis?
Post-match beers.
Yeah. Yeah, we go out to eat all the time. And that hurts the wallet more than going to the match. Even though, like, you got to pay the match fee, you got to drive to the match, which is like over an hour away typically for me. So then you're like, oh, lunch, okay. Shit, there goes another $80 later. It's like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it's certainly not a cheap date.
Yep, especially when you take your significant other, so you got to pay for two, right? It's not just.
Yeah.
And the trick is they get us to go out to breakfast first. You go to breakfast, and then you go to the match.
What time do you guys' match start?
10 o'clock.
Oh yeah, we don't have time.
You start at 9.
Yeah, normally shooting starts at 9, but we do basically shooter setup in the morning.
Oh, okay. So we'll set up the day prior, right? So
yeah.
There's only one club that makes people show up. They have to register at a certain time, and then they set up the match that morning. And I'm like, hey, but they close registration before setup actually starts. So if you show up after registration closes and you signed up, you don't get to shoot. So
yeah,
they want that.
Yeah, pretty much all our clubs they'll have maybe the day before they'll have the crews get together and put all the props kind of in the bays or out by the bays. But they don't really do any of the setup. It's mostly morning of.
Gotcha. That makes sense. But with lots of hands makes light work.
Yeah, and our local for this weekend filled up in like 5 minutes, I think, with 75 shooters. So
that's good.
Yeah, over the summer, pretty much all summer, we had over 100, which is good for our area.
Yeah, especially I'm assuming the population spread out a little bit more than some other places.
Yeah, a little bit. There's not really any. I don't know. Like the closest club to me for a USPSA match is like 35 minutes probably, and then the next two are like between an hour and a half. So.
Gotcha. Now, is that 30-minute club? Is that a good match, or is that like a not so great match?
No, it's a good match. Jack Lapham's actually the match director there. The club is a little iffy.
But the USPSA club is good.
Yeah. The club's just kind of in a high population, area. So there's houses around and stuff. So they've got like, no muzzle over the berm. They got those sort of rules. They got their like club ROs walking around, kind of monitoring. But the match is great. Like I've never had any issues there. Jack does a great job with the stages and all that.
Well, that's awesome. That's good to hear. Even though he works for Sig Sauer, doesn't he?
Yeah, here locally.
Gotcha. So, because isn't there electro optics up there or something?
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, pushing a little forward. So, what are your goals moving into 2024 is almost over. It seems like, but what are your goals moving into 2025?
I haven't really sat down and made any dedicated goals. I just want to keep getting better, keep training. I think that a area match win wouldn't be out of the picture for me this year. I'd like to bump up quite a bit at nationals from where I finished. I got 49th, which I was happy with, but I would like to, be up quite a bit more towards the top. Definitely win some section matches. Really just win like that. I go to the matches to win. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm training for. That's why I'm traveling. That's why I'm shooting.
Right. So have
more of that this year.
have you? I'm assuming are you right in contention, or do you always win your locals and carry optics?
I don't think I've lost a CO match in like 6 months, maybe longer.
Okay. Is there
Yeah,
anyone to
so
rival you at your club though? Okay.
no.
So
So I
you're making sure
basically
you build the gap, right?
so that yeah, the goal lately has been like win by 15 or more percent in CO, and then like try and win the match overall. So like I said, we have Jack Lapham locally. Him shooting a rifle, like that's a pretty good. Like I got to be on it to beat him. It's like especially if he's having a good day, like I gotta be on top of my game. We got a good open shooter who he's kind of busy with work right now, so he doesn't shoot all the matches. But when he does show up, he's definitely a tough one. So I got to be on it if I want to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, just go for high overall and try and win CO by over 15%.
Gotcha. Well, that's some good metrics there for you.
Yeah.
So we just need to get you some more local competition. Is that what is that what it needs
Well,
to happen?
I've tried to kind of just drag everybody up with me. Like we got a good shooters here. Like I would say our average skill level is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just tried to kind of drag everybody up with me, help out as much as I can with people. We've got some pretty good guys. They just don't quite have all the pieces of the puzzle yet.
Gotcha. That's good. Well, at least you're bringing them up, right? So that's one of the things like we're working at our club is right. You build you build a better match. You build better shooters, right?
Definitely.
If all you shoot is hose fests, guys, and that's all you're shooting, you're not going to get any better. Especially when you go to major
Right.
matches or nationals and you get your ass kicked because there's a partial out there. Oh, there's some no shoots.
Yeah, I would say I'm very thankful for our clubs and my section. Like I don't think I'd be the shooter I am without our section putting matches together the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
I shot area 1 and like I shot the my first sectionals and everything and like shot nationals, and even at nationals I was like, this is like a local. Like this is not really all that different from a local. Like yeah, maybe those far, no shoot partials were a little tougher than we would have, but like it wasn't anything I hadn't seen. It wasn't anything that I was worried about. It wasn't anything that I hadn't done in my own training. Like we have some pretty big bays locally that we build out some pretty wide open stages, national style stages.
Mm-hmm.
So I think definitely without the section I wouldn't be where I am. And just the way they build stages and build matches.
Gotcha. Yeah, it definitely comes down to the quality of club. Yeah, in getting you built up in the stages and where you choose to shoot. It's nice. It is really nice that we're actually clubs are trying to make the the cognitive effort to build better shooters.
Yeah.
While still having fun for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think too is like there's been more of a push, it seems like, to build shooters up and like to make people better at shooting guns.
Mm-hmm.
I see you, like I think you're seeing that kind of spread out through all the firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And I try my best I help with the little indoor thing we do on Thursdays. Like I try and make some of the stages a little more technical, because you do have a bunch of people that are never been exposed to stuff like that. Either older people that haven't really shot much, or I mean any age, men, women, any age people come in and they haven't really shot much, and it's like their first kind of experience of a match.
Mm-hmm.
So I do my best to like, we're not going to just set up all this really simple easy stuff. Like we're going to make it a little technical. It's going to be a little challenging. Obviously it's got to be safe, but you need more people being exposed to stuff like that, because it, like you said, it makes better shooters.
Yeah, and it makes better competition. It makes yourself push, right? Like, and you want to be like, oh, well, I got to worry about this guy coming up because they're actually getting better, right?
Right.
Especially if for people who are slacking, right? They're no one's gonna catch me, and then one day is like, where did they come from? Because now I've got to fight to beat them, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
It's good to see. It's good to see. Competition breeds greatness, right? So I will.
For sure.
I don't know who told me that at first, but I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah.
Yep.
But as we're kind of getting wrapped up, I've got a couple more questions. First is I stole this one from Dave at the Casual Shooters podcast and Jay Beal. I'm very curious. What is your make ready?
I went through a little phase, I think, where I would kind of do extra stuff, but I've cut it down pretty simple. I kind of have like some habits that I don't think about that are part of my make ready, but basically, get this before I get the signal, I'll flip the little latch on my holster, unlock it. I'll just kind of be holding the gun and potentially the make ready mag. Like I'll just have my hand on the gun and the make ready mag, and I'll just kind of be visualizing the stage up until I get the make ready. I'll get the make ready. I'll either finish the visualization or I'll just load the gun up. Lower the hammer on the double action CZ. I'll check my dot brightness on a few different targets, like a high contrast target, a dark target, a steel, whatever. Not like doing transitions like you see people do, just checking to make sure the dot brightness setting is good. And then at that point, I'll usually just holster the gun, run through a quick full start to finish visualization. I'll click my camera, I'll dust my hands off on my pants, and then basically get in the start position, whatever it is.
That's interesting. I mean, it's not as elaborate as some, but it definitely isn't like I'm gonna just load the gun and go. I mean, because there are those guys who are like savages.
Yeah, there's some people like that. I like to just check the dot, make sure the dot's good, load the gun, and then one visualization. That's pretty much the go-to.
Did you ever go through a point of at the make ready, as soon as the signal goes, like doing a draw?
Occasionally I will. But I mean, like, my draw is not going to get any better at the match. Like, I don't need to practice the draw really.
Right.
If it's like a really awkward position, I might, like, if it's a draw and like a weird lean out, or a draw and like a half step into the shooting box or whatever, I might do it just once to be like, okay, yeah, that feels good.
Right.
But I mean, what I'll see people do is like they'll do a make ready draw and they'll mess it up, and then it's like panic sets in. So I mean, I definitely, like, that's not gonna do you any good. I think just subconscious stage plan, focus on what you need to do. That's gonna get you the result, instead of trying to, how do I do this, yada yada yada. It's like your body already knows how to draw the gun. Just let it happen.
Yep, just gotta let it happen. Yeah, and I agree. If it's the funky draw, I'm notorious, like probably most open shooters, who will pull their gun out and just rack it a million times because we like the sound of it.
Yeah,
it makes a nice sound. I'm not gonna lie.
There's some CO guys that do that with the shadows and stuff, or some LO guys. Give it the 5 or 6 racks and then just go hammer down to load the gun. Like they'll pull the trigger and then load the gun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen some people they'll have the gun out, they'll draw the gun at the make ready, they'll do some transitions, and then when they get to the part of the stage where they're going to reload, they load the gun and then they'll put it away. So I've seen plenty of variations on everyone's make ready. The worst ones are the forever C-class guys who are doing these GM make readies. I'm like,
yeah,
I know mine's kind of long, but like, can we hurry this up, guys? Like, I know I'm an offender, but like, what?
Well, what I see is kind of just it's almost chaotic. Like their mind is kind of racing. There's not really a rhythm or a system there, right? It's like, okay, I'll put the mag in the gun, but I'm not going to rack it. Then I'll get some sight pictures. Then I'll load the gun. Then I'll get some sight pictures. Then maybe I adjust the dot, and then it's like, maybe I'll practice a draw now. Like, they don't really have a system they're going through.
Yeah.
And that's normally the guys that are taking a long time.
Yeah, I can agree on that. That's definitely a true thing. So I guess to my last question before we wrap this up and where people can bother you on the social medias, is do you have anybody you wish to like shout out or plug? I don't know if you have any sponsors or partners or whatnot, or people you want to give a whoop whoop to.
Yeah, I don't really have anybody helping me out. It's just kind of me doing my own thing.
Companies, talk to Nathan.
Yeah, hit me up. But no, it's pretty much just me doing my own thing. appreciate all my girlfriend's help and support. She's an amazing woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on the come up too. She's becoming quite the shooter in her own right. And then other than that, really just maybe Eric Steiner. Thanks for letting me sleep on your couch. Idaho State match.
It was his couch. It wasn't even like,
Yeah.
oh, you can sleep in the spare guest room. It's
No,
the
the couch was good. The couch was good. I was going to sleep in my truck, so the couch was an upgrade.
Oh, damn. You'd be slumming it then. Hey, continue though.
I've got the camp set up in the truck, so it's all cool. But
Oh, so it's like a camper cat. Like you put the bed in the back and call it a day.
yeah, I got it set up pretty well. But
Gotcha.
the air conditioning was nice. I appreciated that.
Did you go and mess with all the lasers?
He doesn't know it yet, but I went through his gun safe and I took a couple things.
Shit, it's probably so full of infinities you wouldn't notice.
Yeah, he'll find out. He'll find out when this video or when the podcast drops.
Oh, if he listens to it.
If he made it this far, he'll know I got his guns.
Yep. That'd be funny. That'd be funny. He'd be like, "What did you do?" Or he'd go check his safe and be like, "Oh, what the fuck's missing?"
So someone will clip this and send it to him.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, he's got so many infinities he won't be able to figure out which one it is.
Yeah. This is true. This is very true. But all right,
yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Like I said, I had enough people be like, "You need to get him on." I'm like, okay. So I sent you. I don't know. I'd have to check my phone when the message went, and then you're like, "I don't know how I missed this." And I'm like, but Instagram's an asshole because they'll send it to like, "Oh, it's your request messages." Depending on how your settings are set up, it either goes to your request messages or it goes to your regulars. It's just like, it's annoying.
And then sometimes it doesn't notify you. It does notify you. It's a weird system.
Yes, it is not. It is not consistent in the slightest, which is annoying. But yeah, so Nathan, if people want to get a hold of you and talk to you about shooting or whatnot, what's the best place to get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. Even with the wonky notifications, just Instagram. Nathan Barnes, NATHAN BARNES USPSA on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Hit them up, people. And Nathan, dude, brother, thank you for coming on and hanging out with me. I learned about you. I had a fun time conversation, so it was always a plus. So, once you make Grandmaster or you win your first area match, we'll have to have you back on or something. Whatever comes first, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with me. And listeners, till next time, get out and do the things. I'll see you on the next one.